And just, yeah.
Hello. I think I'll just see if people can see us. Not just yet. Oh. And now there's going to have been a bit of silence. Just want to see a comment come through saying.
Can everybody see us? Somebody type yes if you can.
We can see you.
Yeah, they can
Excellent.
see. Can they hear us?
Perfect. Thank you, Joe.
Oh, I need to mute that. Okay, right.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, so hello everyone. Now we're not here to listen to Jono or me, so straight away let's kick in. Paul, Spectre, over to you, my friend.
Thank you, guys. Okay, firstly, I'd just like to say it's really fantastic that so many fat jockeys are in the same place at the same time. It feels like a bit of a moment, actually, and it's pretty humbling that so many of you wanted to do this and have taken the time out to do it. So thank you for being here. Hopefully joining a gamble that can become part of Fat Jockey folklore. Okay, mindful that you guys have got your normal lives to get on with, I'll try and keep the announcement of this year's Naiad as brief as possible. So I'll get to the point and name the horse relatively quickly. Obviously, I want you to be able to get your bets down, and then afterwards, any of you guys that remain interested, I'm planning on running through my rationale so you know that this year's Naiad is a solid selection. It's one that you feel as though you want to be on. And it's one that's going to give us a really good chance of landing the money, which is the whole point of this. So just to let you know, I make no apologies that I've already got a fairly large stake down myself, as you probably expected. And it's had a bit of an impact on the price. It's pretty clear that the bookies have been very defensive very quickly this year. And it's taken a lot less than my initial bets did last year to have some impact on the price. And I guess that's a sign of the times. We've seen it all season so far. The anti-post markets have been much tighter than usual. They've been far more reactive than they have in the past for a whole host of reasons. I think we've, as a collective, had quite a lot of impact on that. But we've seen social media having an impact, and it doesn't matter who comes out the woodwork, they say something, and it gives the bookies the next opportunity to cut a price. And hopefully tonight we're all going to get our money down before the bookies get the opportunity to do that cut, and we're all on it at the much better prices. But we don't have guaranteed prices quite as big as they were last year. However, the current best no runner no bet price is still big enough for me to be happy to advise it. But the selection's also available bigger without no runner, no bet. I'm not going to advise prices that I haven't taken myself. And I've taken them both with and without no runner, no bet. So, I'm looking to build a position. As you guys know, I've got a fairly substantial stake in the ground, but I will be chipping away all the way down. And I also plan to top up again this evening at the bigger price available at exactly the same time as you guys. So I'm going to take the price without the no runner, no bet concession again this evening, because in my own mind, I'm comfortable that I have the right race for the horse. It doesn't come out without risks, and none of this comes without risks, of course. The one thing I can't do is give anybody a guarantee when there's a lot of water to go under the bridge. We haven't even seen the entry stages yet. So, there is an element of taking a flyer on this, but, it is an educated flyer, I'd like to think. And as I say, I feel comfortable that this race is the target race. And having looked at all of the variables, the horses that I think that could go here, that would appear in the entries, I think we have the right one. And just for information and openness, I'll be backing the horse down to 10-1 at the point of final decks. If he's shorter than that at final decks, I won't be taking those prices. But assuming he isn't, I'll then be backing him down further to 7-1 before the race. But I will stop at 7-1. the bookmakers that you need open on your apps, phones, laptops, whichever you're intending to do, there are 3 bookmakers that I recommend that you have open. They are Bet365, Sky Bet, and William Hill. There are 3 or 4 of the smaller bookies that have prices on this horse too. But these are the bookies that I'm recommending you bet with. I had hoped to advise William Hill at no run and no bet at 33 to 1, but I can't. Bet365 are 33 to 1 without no run and no bet, and William Hill and Sky Bet are 20 to 1 with no run and no bet. So your choice, whichever route you go. To say, I have a bit of both, but what I have on so far is dominated by the bigger prices. I've taken some cover with no run and no bet, and as I say, I think this is the race, the right race for the horse. 365 are only 16 to 1 with no run and no bet, and in my opinion, their best odds guarantee is not a lot of use here, because I'm pretty sure the horse is going to go off at 5 to 1 or maybe even less. But hopefully all of that means that whichever route you guys prefer, the current price you take will be really good value. And that's the one thing that I am prepared to say. I think we absolutely will be on a horse that is going to be outstanding value. The other thing I'm going to say before I announce the horse is that I don't think any of us should underestimate the significance of what we're all about to do. If that, no guarantee, you don't have to place a bet. You can sit and listen and while away 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, or whatever it is, and completely ignore what I'm about to say, and that's absolutely fine. But assuming the collective here is about to place a bet on this horse, we are about to potentially make our own little bit of history, I think, because my guess is this kind of gamble hasn't been pulled off since runners used to go all over the place to place bets at the same time for some of the legendary gamblers out there. And I suspect that the bookies haven't had what we're about to do happen to them for maybe a couple of decades or more. Coups seem to be a thing of the past. And whilst I'm not going to describe this specifically as a coup, this is a group of like-minded people, having a go at something at the same time. I suppose it kind of is, really, but not in the same way where one person was the beneficiary. Barney Curley, for example, made his name in I think it was in 1975 initially, when 300 individual people placed bets on a horse called Yellow Sam at 20 to 1. And in doing that, they pulled off what is one of the most legendary gambles of all time. And that's what we're about to do in a few moments' time. We're going to execute our own anti-post version of that. It's not a Barney Curley thing. It's just a large group of like-minded people who love the festival and share such a huge amount of knowledge together on the forum. And I think there's something, given how much sort of virtual time we spend together, I think there's something quite nice about that. Something that I really like about that certainly. So, as I say, the thing we're doing is using our connection through Fat Jockey and our love of playing the Cheltenham anti-post markets. So in doing this, we're not going to give the bookies the time to react by cutting their prices. And it's possible that we will end up creating some bigger liabilities for the bookies than Barney Curley did, 47 years ago. So, look, I'm ready. I've talked enough. If you've got your apps and your laptops open, you need to go to the Ultima Market. You guys probably guessed that would be my choice. So if go to your preferred bookmaker, which I'm also going to do, by the way, because I'm joining you at exactly the same time. I would suggest if you're looking at Sky Bet, you might just want to check any maximum stakes being applied in case of their natural restrictions. They tend to be stake averse. Maybe I would suggest put a stake in against any horse just at 20 to 1, just to see what they'll allow you on. my experience with them is that they tend to, for a 20-1 bet, they'll allow me around £50 each way in a 24-hour period before I can go back again. But we'll all experience our own different things with that. Also, while everybody's just getting loaded up, I just want to say thanks to a couple of guys, 2 or 3 guys on Fat Jockey. They are one of the reasons, along with the risk of the price going, that I needed to act a little bit earlier this year. So can I just say thank you to Chris Liam and to Richard for holding back on the forum just to allow this evening to happen, because I think there was probably a risk of people starting to jump on this particular horse anyway. It's not happened. So I owe those guys some thanks. And I think we all do, because, I think one of the reasons we're all here together is it's something we want to do together. Okay, so I'm ready. I've got my phone ready. I'm just about to put the selection in the box. We don't do drum rolls for this kind of thing unless Kev bangs his desk or something. So I'm going to assume you guys are ready. And the 2022 horse, as I just put my stake in, is Galahad Quest. So I'm just going to press place bet and hope it goes on. Part of my bet needs to be approved by a trader, given the amount of money I put on that doesn't surprise me. So I'll hopefully mine will go through and you don't have the same problem. If we do, so I've got 42 placed now. My bet's gone through. So I don't know whether you guys can see that, but my bet has gone through. So that's it, guys. Assuming your bets are on, I think we've just all created our own little bit of gambling history. For those of you that want to stick around and find out why I've selected Galahad Quest for this, I'm going to run through my thoughts on them in a moment. But first, if anyone needs to go, can I just say thank you for joining us in this? In my mind, all of us are now forever joined at the hip. And I really look forward to catching up with you and any thoughts you've got on the forum. So cheers, guys, anybody that has come on just for that part and needs to go. For everyone else, I'm just going to have a run through on my thoughts on Galahad Quest and why I am so sweet on him. And I'm going to start by saying he went into my tracker for this race 2 years ago. And as I run through some of the criteria for this, you'll start to understand why. I'm a bit anal with that kind of stuff, sort of following and tracking horses and tracking patterns. We've got the legend that is Saxon Warrior on the forum, and the value that he gives to all of us is just huge. But the heart of his methods is something that I'm very much into, and that is about following patterns and understanding, how trainers think. So with Galahad Quest, he's on the same Nick Williams route as Kustar, Sivilla and Syrah de Lac before they won the Ultima and the Plate, respectively. And that's a pretty impressive festival-winning strike rate for Nick Williams, who knows what type of horse he needs to win these races. He needs to source it, of course, and then he's got to execute a plan perfectly, which is, not the simplest thing in the world. An awful lot can go wrong. But finding that right horse in the first place is a real skill. And he has that skill and he knows how to handle it. There is a difference, though, in the paths that the two different horses took, and that's really important in terms of why selecting Galahad Quest for this race. Galahad Quest's profile is very similar to Kustar Sevilla's, who was kept at 2.5 miles to really keep him unexposed over 3 miles. Whereas Syrah de Lac was kept unexposed over 2.5 miles, and his mark was really perfect for the Plate. So Nick Williams would have had a view in terms of optimum trips with those two horses, and hence the slightly different paths. But Galahad Quest is on the Kustar Sivilla path, and I'd be fairly convinced that Nick Williams is convinced that he will have a better horse again when he steps up to 3 miles. Galahad Quest has been trying over 2.5 miles all season. We know that he's not been held back. He's not been pulled. Nobody's sort of stuffing him up behind horses to make him run badly. He's been trying all season. But he ran prominently for the first time on Saturday to find out where they are with his mark. I suspect they were always leaning towards the Ultima, as they said. And Saturday, I think, will have confirmed it. And Saturday's race was specifically what I was waiting for before I wanted to do this and announce him as the Naiad. I just wanted that sort of clarity with my own eyes that they were going to do exactly what I thought they were going to do, and he was going to run the race in exactly the way that I thought he would run the race. And that is precisely what happened. So in terms of run style, he's been almost always held up or run in midfield in his races. The 2 times he hasn't was Saturday when he was second, and in a valuable novice chase last season when he won, beating Moran and Faranet. And that's form that you guys know has worked out particularly well. His novice hurdle win, I should say that's chasing. It's not his novice chasing and his second season chasing career. His novice hurdle win at Cheltenham was also the time when they rode him up in with the pace. So 3 times in total they've done that now in his entire career, and he's had a fair few races now for a young horse. And so 3 times they've run him up with the pace, and his record is first, second, and first. All of his races where he's been held up or raced in midfield, he's picked up a bit of prize money, but he's not really threatened at all. So in other words, the tactic here is a plan to have a well handicapped horse for a target race, and it's a long-term plan to have a well handicapped chaser, preferably one that can win a festival chase, and in this case with Galahad Quest the Ultima. So he ran the perfect trial for us on Saturday, where he was up in the van and stayed on, only beaten by a clearly unexposed horse at the trip. The others couldn't pass him because he wasn't for passing. He had plenty left, but he hadn't got the pace of a quicker, well-handicapped plate horse. And clearly, that suggests that he would be very vulnerable to some well-handicapped horses in the plate. So that really isn't the route rather. That they are likely to take. So as I say, Saturday's race was the final part for that for me. The important point, though, is that the route selected for Galahad Quest suggests that Nick Williams has the right horse with the right mark, and he knows exactly how to manage that mark for the target race, as I said. Ideally, I'd like to see him taking a 3-mile handicap chase before the end of February.
Paul, sorry to interrupt you, mate. You've got Hills are now 10s. The anti-post for 365s now 20s. I don't know what the non-Renault bet for them is, so the price has now gone as anticipated.
All right, guys, well, you've executed the gamble well. thumbs up for that. Well done. You still want to know about.
You can still get 33s, but without non-runner no bet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
16s non-runner no bet with 365 looks like it's still there for anyone still watching that's not on. But
well, if that's still there after this podcast, I might have one more. Okay, look, as I said, ideally I'd like him to take in a 3-mile handicap chase. There's one for him at the end of the month at Exeter. They took that same race in with Kustar Sevilla, so I suspect they may do that same thing, if not a different one. 7 out of the last 10 Ultimas, his current mark would have got him in, including the last two years, but not in the previous 3. And I don't think Nick Williams will take the risk. I think he will run him to get another 2, 3, 4, 5 pounds that he needs just to be certain. Because if he doesn't, there is a risk that he doesn't get in. But that'd be money back anyway. If this is the intended race, they'll leave the entry. So, our worst case scenario here would be money back. So assuming he does run at Exeter, I expect then it gives him the thing where he hits one of the stats that I like to see hit, and that's that he hits his highest racing post rating prior to the festival over the ultimate trip of 3 miles. And if that doesn't happen, I'm satisfied that he's already achieved his highest racing post rating over hurdles and fences at Cheltenham. And crucially, he's got lots of Cheltenham experience. And that's, again, something that I really like in a horse for this race. There'll be some well-touted horses for this race that appear to be well handicapped, but they never win it. Because, a horse that's equally, or perhaps sometimes not quite as well handicapped, is set up to run in these races. That experience tends to win out every time. So the key thing for me, though, irrespective of one way or the other, I'm confident that he can hit a racing post rating in the low 150s in the ultimate itself. That's my feeling on him. And hopefully he'll be sat in the handicap mark somewhere around 140 by the time the race. Anything 139 or lower is absolutely fantastic. I don't want to be greedy, and I'm confident he can win, on anything up to 142, 143. Well, he's on 133 at the moment. So, there's a lot of latitude there. That gives me a lot of confidence. Jockey David Noonan, who clearly gets the ride. So I'd say he's a cert to be riding at the festival. He's won on 7 of 31 rides for Nick Williams, and a further 11 places in those 31 rides. So 23% win rate for Nick Williams, 58% win and place rate, which is outstanding. So, it feels as though he's a bit of a target jockey for Nick Williams too. So really happy that David Noonan's riding. He's one of those sort of unsung jockeys that goes around that I actually like a lot. He's also got a 27% win and place record at Cheltenham over the last 5 years. So, he rides around Cheltenham particularly well. It's one of the tracks that he performs very well at. There's lots more reasons that I could give to add to the case, including his breeding. I'm not going to go into that now. I'm mindful of the fact that we've all got lives. But what I would do is, if you're interested enough to go back and watch the Paddy Power Gold Cup again, where he finished 5th. He was only beaten 5 lengths, held up again with far too much to do. But the thing to note is how much ground he had to make up to get as close as he did. And to horses like Midnight Shadow and Protectorat. Again, he was staying on and running all the way through the line. You've got to be a prominent runner on the old course at Cheltenham, over 2.5 miles, and only Galahad, Quest and Protectorat came from towards the back, and Protectorat was more prominent than Galahad, Quest. Well, Protectorat's 8-1 and 4th favourite for the Gold Cup. And, obviously the sadly ill-fated Midnight Shadow, that was horrible at the weekend, has gone on to show just how far ahead of his mark he was. So they're fantastic yardsticks, really. But again, just focusing on the fact that he was held up in a race where you want to be prominent, and just look at how he performed in that race if you want to get a feel for just how well handicapped he might be. So anyway, look, I could go on and on and on. I've so many reasons why I like him for the race. There are lots more. That's plenty for now. In summary, I think he's an outstanding bet for the ultimate at the price he was, 10 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, or whatever it was. And I expect him to go off close to favourite when everyone catches up with how well he is for the race, and what kind of profile he has. The race, there'll be dangers. He won't be without horses that have similar good profiles. One of the first places I look for that is the Hennessy, and the horses that I would have taken out the Hennessy for this race are Cloudy Glen, who's now, in my opinion, too high in the handicap to be winning the race. I wouldn't put Cloudy Glen out of a place necessarily, but I cannot have him winning off his current mark. And off his current mark, they may well not go there at all. Cloth Gap, he's been tumbling down the handicap. I have a real problem with his jumping.
He's not going, Paul.
Have they said so?
Yeah,
okay.
I think he's going to Kelso or Doncaster, then the National's the plan for him. I read on the forum before.
Okay, good. That helps. De Machine, who ran a really poor race at the weekend, he would actually be interesting if if he had the wind up beforehand. I think I have a feeling that they may have been holding off giving him a wind up to target him in this race. And I think he is a danger, by the way. If that is the case, if I'm wrong, then I'm not interested at all. If there's no wind up, I don't care. Won't even be considering him. And Remastered is the other one. And I think a few people thought I might have been putting Remastered up for this race. But I think he's getting a little bit exposed now over 3 miles over fences. I think actually with the pound drop he got, he may even go to the Kim Muir. Or preferably the Potemps, where I think he's really interesting. I think there is possibly, and if I knew this, he was in consideration for this, but not for this race. He could have been the Naiad possibly if I could have been convinced that he was going to the Potemps. He has a fantastic mark over hurdles, and the fact that they qualified him very early prior to chasing this season for the Potemps final means that if he does turn up there, it was the plan all along. And whilst I have a bet on him for the Potemps, no one will know better at a big price. I think he's worth having that bet for that race. But I won't be backing him for the Ultima. The other place to look at is novices, of course. But I really haven't seen many novices that I'd be convinced about this season for this race. You can't rule anything out that turns up here that's unexposed on a handy looking mark. I do want some course form. So, you've got to go and look at what's been running around Cheltenham this season and perhaps last season, if it's remained a novice. But there are very few that I could have on my mind from this group of novices, this season's class of novices. There's one that's been on my mind, and actually a couple of people have PM'd me about this one, trying to find out if he was the one that I was going to put up, and that's Pat's Fancy. And I wouldn't put you off a saver with him. No run and no bet. I think he's only currently priced up with Sky Bet at 20-1 from memory. But he's got an entry at Exeter tomorrow, which I'm not really keen on. If they're serious about this race, it suggests to me that perhaps they're not. The entry tomorrow is against Dusart and Flash Collonge. So I think it's possible they're trying to find out if it's worth heading to the National Hunt Chase if he's competitive enough tomorrow. And if he's not, he doesn't win this anyway. So I don't really care. So I don't like the entry, and it puts me off him for the Ultima. But I do have a little saver at no run and no bet at 20-1 on him. There may be one or two more that pop up when we see the entries, but I have my doubts that they'd be in as well in as I believe Galahad Quest will be over 3 miles. And, Galahad Quest has so much experience at Cheltenham, Old Course specifically. And we know that I think we can be fairly confident how they're going to run the race with him. We have to consider the Irish, of course. The Irish horses don't have a great record in this race. Doesn't mean they can't win it, of course. I'm not stupid. I'm not naive. And I think it's very possible that Gordon Elliott might be plotting to send something here. But even so, I think Galahad's, as I said, well in, and he's battle hardened around HQ. So, I don't think he has anything to fear from a Gordon Elliott plot. I think he's a plot himself. And I think he's better prepared for the job. So, okay, look, I've kept everybody long enough. If anybody's got any questions, queries, doubts, positive comments, whatever about Galahad Quest, pop them on the forum, and I'll do everything I can, do my best to answer everything that anybody has. So I just want to wrap up really just to say, thank you to everybody for listening to the ramblings of an old man. Galahad Quest has been on my watch list, as I say, for a very long time. So I'm gonna give you a couple of bonus selections now. One for 2023 and one for 2024 for the Ultima. There you go. Here we go. So for your notebooks, I'm going to work in reverse order and go with 2024 first. For your notebook for the 2024 Ultima, put in Interne de Savola. Same horse, same connection, same route, same everything. Just why wouldn't you be watching it for 2 years' time? Pulled his head off at Cheltenham in the juvenile at the weekend, but that's the start of the path, boys. So get him in your notebook. And then in the meantime, the winner of the 2023 Ultimate is a horse called Jeffrey's Cross. Get him in your notebook and trackers for when he makes his novice hurdle debut over the next month or so. And look, he has to have that plan ready, doesn't he? Because I own him. So anyway, thanks, guys, and look forward to seeing you all on Fat Jockey.
Cheers, everyone. Thanks very much. Well done, Paul.
Yeah. Cheers, guys. Well done, Paul.
Thank you, guys. Catch you on Fat Jockey. See you soon.